I would like to say that I enjoyed my tenure as the president of the Nigerian Institute of Building. And of course, before I became president, I had worked in various capacities, both in government and the private sector, before I joined politics to be a member of the House of Representatives. And of course, thereafter I became a special assistant to the president on National Assembly matters. And later I also became a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, appointed by President Olusegun Obasanjo. I would also like to say that I was privileged also to be the president of presidents, that is the president of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria. I think briefly that is what I can say about myself. So today I partake in several professional activities, one of which of course is that I'm a BOT member of the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria. Of course, I am BOT member of the Association of Professional Bodies. I'm a BOT member of the Nigerian Institute of Building. So I think these are some of the, in brief, this is what I can say about my activities in the past. Our Noble Institute started operation, I think, in the year 1967 or thereabout. And it was started by some of our revered leaders like Chief Otumba Oshikoya. And they haven't been members of the Chartered Institute of Building of UK. When they returned to Nigeria, they decided to open the Nigeria branch in 1967. And from then, of course, there had been a lot of struggles to get us a charter here in Nigeria that used to become recognized by the government via an act or decree of the military and maybe later National Assembly. Of course, over the years we have grown from a humble beginning to become what we are today. A robust and well-recognized institute to be reckoned with as far as the Nigerian state is concerned. When the institute was started, of course, the membership was small. The whole thing started from Lagos area and continued to expand to all the nooks and corners of the country over time. It hasn't been easy, I believe, because the awareness took so long a time for people to recognize the importance of being members of the institute that is in charge of their profession. There were many builders, even up till today, as I speak to you, they are not recognizing much with us, and that is quite unfortunate. Because I wonder how a builder can excel, as a professional or become a consultant if he doesn't continuously associate with the institute. Because you must add knowledge every day. You must share and add knowledge every day. It's something that has to be continuous in life. But many people don't take that seriously, and that is why some of them, I don't really see them as professionals. Anybody who doesn't come to identify with his profession, particularly Nigeria Institute of Building and the Council for the Registration of Builders in Nigeria, I don't see such a person as a professional. And unfortunately, these people are still around in this country. in different local governments. They are there. And on the issue of our membership drive, we still have a long way to go, because as we speak, there are a number of states where we have very weak membership that are not yet properly even recognized or known by the Nigerian Institute of Building. So there is need for continuous membership drive, and also there is need for Nigerian Institute of Building and Common to continue to advise government that such people who are still working either in government or private sector shouldn't be promoted until they identify and show that they are members of the institute. They are becoming either whatever grade they can fit in, you know, from licentiate up to corporate, perhaps up to fellowship, before they can be promoted to pass a certain level in their various ministries or parastatals or even the private sector. So that challenge is still there, and I believe that my predecessors who are on seat now not leaving any stone unturned in trying to make sure that they expand in the horizon that is available for the Nigerian Institute of Building to get proper membership from all the states of this country. You know, it is very important, and we have to do it, because the challenges that this country is facing regarding issues of corruption, you know, we must face them squarely. We must be able to have the right size of membership to be able to do so. If the size of membership is inadequate, some of the challenges we cannot be able to cope with, you know. So we have to have our members working at various tiers of government. We must have them in numerous numbers at the local government level. We must have them at the state level. We must also have them at the federal level. Equally, we need to have them also in the private sector, working in various companies. Now, this is how we can actually be able to know our position and where the areas of inadequacies, so that we pursue them properly, so as to improve our position and serve this country better. While I was president, of course, I mean, like I told you, when I came in, the membership was quite low. And I'm sure that it was during the period of my presidency that the membership started to shoot up. Yes, that membership started to shoot up because we didn't relent in our effort to pursue the membership drive across the nooks and crannies of this country. And I was very, when I came in, I think we were just, we were less than 1,000. Yes, it was after, immediately while I was there, we started to improve in numbers. And by the time we did the JOS conference, our number just shot up, because people became very well aware that there is this kind of important institute that they should belong. And from that time onwards, today we can boast of, let's say, about 5,000 membership. And that's good enough, but I think we still have a serious challenge. I want those people who are on seat to work very hard to make sure that we exceed 10,000 in terms of membership. I think from my time we started the issue of International Relations Committee, and we were able to reach out to a number of similar professions outside this country. For example, I was accompanied by one of our own to the Chartered Institute of Building in UK. I visited them and had discussions with the leadership and they also started to identify very well with the Nigerian Institute of Building more, because since our other members came, there wasn't that much rapport, you know. Until we came on board, we decided to renew the initial interaction between the Niob and the Chartered Institute of Building. Of course, we also started making contacts with the Ghanaian Institute of Building, with Australian Institute of Building, and our members then also started to attend various conferences around the world that had to do with issues that that relate to construction. So I think aside from the issue of the international relations, we made sure that the interaction between us and our sister professions in the built environment was made more cordial, you know, and we started to partner with every other profession within the built environment, and we started also to send out send out letters informing governments for presence and our importance and our readiness to partner with government to improve the construction process in this country. And our membership is small, you know. Two, we were not very much known around the country, so the sources of funding are really small. So, but despite that, we were not discouraged, because we know that the profession has prospects for future growth. So we paid attention so much in making sure that we source for funding from companies that are into construction in the country, from other government organizations that also employ builders within their own working space. So we expanded the areas that we can be able to be assisted in terms of funding, and by God's grace, things were improving, though slowly. The challenges were still there, and one other thing that helps us a lot is the fact that the awareness became so open, and it was everywhere, and we started to boost the membership. So one of our main source of income is through the levies and the subscriptions that our members pay, and as they were increasing in numbers, so our money was also growing bigger, and our bank accounts were also sort of becoming robust, you know. And slowly today, I believe we can say that we don't have challenges, but I believe there's a lot of improvement from what we get from the subscriptions by our members and other levies that are coming by our members, and also contribution from the private sector, you know, as well as government, because government also help us through Carbon, which is the regulatory body. Carbon is there, they are funded by government, and we appreciate that, but we want better funding from government, because we, as far as we are concerned, we don't know of any other profession that is better than us when it comes to our responsibilities. So we don't expect to have any profession that will get better funding than us. I understand there are some that are better funded, and I think that is an aberration, and the government should correct it. I think the people who are the helm of leadership of our institute are trying their best. We only need to encourage them further to put more effort so that our institute will grow bigger and bigger, and of course become known and also be viewed as a very, very important institute in this country. There are many challenges which I think we should be the leaders to be able to provide the solution to them. For example, the building collapse and many other issues within the built environment, that we should be the ones to be the lead institute. So these are some of the things that I think the current leaders must focus on. You know, in the past, the kind of responsibilities that are given to builders, I think we have overgrown that, even by the nature of the curriculum in the universities that builders pass through. I think there is need for us to really open up the horizon for building practice in this country. And I'm happy to say that the current administration has set up a think tank committee which has come up with the opening, the horizon of the practice of building profession in Nigeria. Luckily enough, I am a member of the committee, and we sat down. We have now opened up many other areas that before builders are not even aware that yes, this is their own, despite the fact that they got the training at the university level and polytechnics, but they were feeling one kind to come out and begin to practice in such areas. For example, the issue of building structures. Most of us here, we worked as structural engineers in our various capacities at different levels. I was head of structures in the Ministry of Works in Sokoto. Yes, I took over from the white people, from the Asians and the Filipinos who were there. I took over and I directed the structural engineering department. I trained so many other builders under me. So we can do very well in issues of building structures. Yes, we have so many builders who are very capable and qualified to be senior consultants in building structures in this country. So, but before now, our builders are not partaking seriously in the issues of building structures. Now with this new think tank, we are opening up. I believe during the annual general meeting in Port Harcourt, that is coming up in first week of August, the president will make a presentation to the August gathering for approval, you know, for us to expand our horizon, because we have taken so long to do it. But now, with our membership, with the zeal that is coming from all the professional builders in the country, I think it is time for us to open up so that our builders will be properly engaged. There are so many areas of activities, much more than what is contained in the National Building Code. National Building Code doesn't carry activities at all, as far as I'm concerned. They just scratch the surface. And the time has passed for us to be scratching surface. We shouldn't fear any other profession. We should come out and make sure we practice our profession in all aspects and ramifications. You know, we shouldn't feel that, oh, this profession is saying they want to do this or that. No, no, no. Once it is our own areas of expertise contained in the curriculum that is being taught in polytechnics and universities in this country, we have the right to practice it. You know, building information modeling, you know, green building, and you know, and system buildings. Well, there are many other numerous areas apart from the few that we've been talking about. That programming, health and safety, you know, quality management. No. Builders are more than that. We must come out and show the people that yes, we are knowledgeable and we are capable. We can do these services in the best interest of Nigerians, you know, and that we have to be given our rightful position to practice. Well, I think what I have to say regarding the issue of relationship between the present leadership and past leaders of the Institute, I cannot say that they are not relating with us, but I think there is ample room for improvement. I feel that whatever program the Institute is hosting, all our past presidents who are alive should always be invited. All our past presidents should be invited. And of course, whatever issue that is coming up that requires advice and foresight by the present leaders, the past leaders should be consulted, because I mean we have various experiences and we have things that we can do to add value to what is presently happening. So we should be carried along together. You know, I'm not complaining because most of the time everything that is going on, I'm consulted. I'm not complaining, but I want others who are alive to equally be consulted always and at all times. I know that will add value to what we are doing as an institute, and it will strengthen us and it will encourage our followers to see that we are all together, all the leadership, past and present, are working together and thinking alike to make sure that the institute is strengthened and built and taken to higher levels. My prayer is that in the next few years to come, I want the name of the Nigerian Institute of Building to be ringing bell in the world, not in Nigeria or in Africa. I believe we have come of age, and we must not remain in a shell. We should come out of the shell and let us be known by the whole world that we exist as professional builders. And I can see a lot of light in the tunnel. The Australian Institute of Building is working towards a conference, building our world, you know, and that conference, from the way I see it, I would have loved to attend that conference, but I won't be in the country around that time. I have another assignment given to me by my government in the state. But I would have loved to go there, to attend it, for a number of reasons. Because that is going to be the stepping stone for my focus and my interest of what I want to see Nigerian Institute of Building and Cobham becomes in the nearest future. In that conference, about three Institute of Buildings from 3 different countries are coming together as a team, you know, to host that conference. And I want to see Nigerian Institute of Building partnering with this group to be hosting international conferences in the nearest future. Nigeria Institute of Building should be part of that group. And I also want to see in the future that when we are having our conferences like this, we partner seriously with all these groups that are in various countries and that are relating very seriously with their governments, so that will also improve our own government. Nigeria will see that we have serious international linkage, and they will now begin to see our importance much more than perhaps other bodies, you know, because by the time we our collaboration become mature between us and these big countries, Singapore, Australia, Netherlands, and and a host of other countries where the Institute of Building is so powerful in government, so powerful in the private sector, always being carried along by their governments. My dream is to see Nigeria Institute of Building always carried along by the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We should be given our rightful space to be able to carry out our responsibility without hindrance. I believe we can end building collapse as builders, because as long as every site in this country has a builder, a registered builder manning it, the issue of collapse will be a foregone issue in this country. But if that is not done, I'm afraid I don't know when building collapse will end in Nigeria, because we are the master builders, nobody else.
My name is Alha Muazu. I was president of the institute from 1991 to 92. Because at that time the institute was based, the headquarters was in Lagos. And I graduated with a degree in building in 1973, June. Actually, I happened to be the first graduate of building in the country, because building started at Niob area at that time. And two of us were volunteered. We were in architecture department. So we started from second year really. So by the time we came to the end of second year, I was the only person who went to third year. So at the end of the third year, I graduated with a bachelor's degree. We got our lecturers that time from Professor Fullerton, maybe some of you have heard of him, from University of Kumasi in Ghana, and some Nigerians. One of them is Professor Musago. He's still at Covenant. And then we got Polish professors also. So that's how we started building in Niob area and in the country, and I was the first graduate. I worked both in the universities as lecturer. I was also in the private sector. I later came back to the universities and I retired as a professor. I come from Katsina State and I taught building when I was in academics in the Niob area. That's my alma mater. Also taught it at Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, and at Federal University of Technology in Minna. When I was a student, really, people came from Lagos to Zaria and told us about the institute. So the institute was functioning there. Talking to you about early 70s, 1970s. We were aware of the institute, and when I graduated, we were aware that the institute was an overseas chapter of the Charter Institute of Building in UK. That's everything was new, as you know, at least for us in this country. So in 1967, the Nigerian chapter was formed. So we separated from Charter Institute of Building UK. So that was the institute I knew. That was the Nigerian Institute of Building. It started practically in 1967. We started, later on, I told you I was in the private sector for a while. I was in Lagos. That's when I really participated in the institute activities. And we were small. That is true. Why? Because we do not have a charter. We were not given, there is no law to regulate building in the country. So we were small, we had small membership who bear us, what do you call it?
Annual dues.
Yeah?
Annual dues.
Yeah, they pay us annual dues, and that's the only sources of income we had really. So we were small. I remember that time we were in a Butemeta. We were renting premises in a Butemeta in Lagos. It was a very difficult time for us really. We look for funds anywhere we can, but that is the kind of start we had. We were in a Butemeta and we had small membership. But I was a member and I remember it quite well. When I became president, we already had a law, for us to regulate building in this country. That's core. So it was a big thing that happened. So you are looking for changes during my time, during that time, because the previous president before me was during his time that we got our charter. So immediately we got our charter, things changed. So when I took over, it means I was the first president in 1991 to be appointed or to be elected as president with the charter. So for me, I always say it is stabilization. It was a very exciting time for the institute. First, we are recognized. We have a charter now. Our building has become a fully recognized profession by law to regulate. So what we did that time was trying to stabilize it. How it is difficult time, but very exciting time. So for me, and as the president, is to bring everybody together, which was not very difficult at the time. It was a small institute. Yes. So for me, it is stabilization of the activities of the institute. Now that we have a charter, that's what we faced. The challenges that year, of course, like I told you, is membership. And the question of the expatriate quota, of course. We were a lot of the construction in Nigeria, we all know, especially at that time, but even now I believe it's run by the expatriates. Companies I've been talking about. Construction is very big business everywhere. And there were a lot of ideas. What do we do with the expatriates? They have to be registered with us. Not the companies. Even the companies, of course, there is different registration for companies and for the people or the construction managers, of course, they have to be registered, they must be qualified. So these are some of the things we did. We tried to register them, but in the end we found that we have quite a lot of things to do. So some of the things we said, let's leave it to the people who come later, like the registration for the foreign consultants. But they were in our radar and we were talking with them, we were in contact with them. Building collapse is a problem for everybody in the country, builders and non-builders alike. And if you know health, when you go to get insurance, when you are starting any building in this country, according to the building code, some of the things that you have to attach to get insurance so that you can start a building was things like the drawings, contract drawings by registered consultants and so on. And for builders, you must get, apart from the schedule of work, how you do it, health and safety. It has to be signed by a registered builder. So this is where we come in. It's very crucial. Now, of course, we are doing the production, but health and safety is recognized and is the value for builders in the national code. So that's why we come in. But what the government is doing is the correct thing. For example, in FCT Abuja here, the last building collapse we had, I think, is that around January or somewhere. The government set up a committee with practically all the professions in the building industry. And I believe that is the way to go, including Niob. That is the way to go. And we'll find the problems. It will be able to solve the problem in the future. And at least reduce the collapse. Because we all know it's quackery and things like that. But when you put everybody together, it's only in this way that everybody is involved, and then the solutions will be found, which will be adequate. At least it will reduce the collapse. I believe maybe the collapse of buildings is one of the things that instigated. Because without the code, even the designs that you have are not regulated really, and the materials for constructions. The code has, in the code, if you read it, it takes care of all these things. So there is really need for the code. In this country, you go around some of the places, you see buildings are built all over the place. There is no definite plan. People build anywhere they like. There is the materials, they are not, their strength is not regulated. The designs, there is quackery, both in constructions. So definitely, the building code is crucial. But having a code is one thing, and making sure that it is obeyed is another thing. And of course, it is done locally. In FCT here we have development control, and they're doing a good job. So that is the idea. And in each place, each local place, they have their own inspection. They call it development control. They issue new licenses to construct buildings, and you have to abide by the code. Well, first of all, I have been attending some of the AGMs, and as far as I'm considered, they're doing well. My advice is just to continue on the good path there. I think, okay, I told you we are doing stabilization when I was the president, 1990, 1991. We just got the decree, and when it came my time, we were trying to consolidate, to build on what we have and to expand. So that was our focus that time, and maybe I didn't have as much time as I wanted, but during the time I had, that was the direction we were going. Stabilization of the institute. That's it. Okay, some of the things, you see, unfortunately, even though there are areas I am thinking of, some of the institutes, some of the professions, the relationship we had with some of the politicians before, I believe it has changed now. I learned it was because I attended AGMs. It has changed now for the better. It's membership. In building, we should be inclusive. I'm not saying we're not, but we could be more inclusive. So, because construction is such a big area, and it's practically one of the major areas in the industry, production and construction. So, people who are desirous to join us should be motivated to do so. Of course, we all know that each profession has a ladder on which you follow, depending on your qualifications. We are not saying we should change those ladders, but in building, we should make it much easier to have competent and qualified people to be able to join us, either from sister professions or from other allied professions in the industry. Those who are wishing to do that, or those who are already in the profession, they should be encouraged to join the institute, to follow the ladder, and to look at it carefully and encourage people to join it. We should not try to always, like some people do, protecting their turf. You don't touch this, you don't touch this. We should give people opportunity, but those who are qualified, those who are competent, sister professions, they can come and join us by following the ladder that we put for them. So this is why I would encourage the leadership to look at it a bit more carefully in this direction. I have been attending the AGMs and the past leaders too. I used to meet them. The relationship was good. I call each other on first names, even though we are older than them. We are friends. And I think what they're doing a good job. That's all I need to say. It was great. It was good. Of course, in the early 90s, we don't have money to do that. So, I mean, we just look and say, wow, building has come of age. I'm impressed, and I hope we'll continue to do better. That's all. My praise for the Institute is I was privileged really to attend one of the Institute arranges for this international, I don't know how they call it, it's visitation every year they go abroad. Nigerian Institute of Building to go to see other institutes around the world, as a kind of a collaboration with the institutes. This year I learned they are going to a different place, but I was some years back. I joined I think the chapter, the Abuja FCT chapter that went to the United States. Yes. So I was able to join them, and I went with them. We have conferences in Las Vegas, shows, building, what do they call it? Building Expo, which is, I don't know whether they hold it yearly, international. Las Vegas, fantastic. Then we went to Los Angeles. Then we also have some seminars in Florida, Orlando. I was able to go with that. It was well arranged, and we met the professionals there, and we learned a lot from them, and I believe they also understood and learned from us. I like that kind of arrangement where we are not local, where we become international. That is the way to go, and I hope from that experience that we'll continue to see that we continue with that tradition.
My name is Abida Kenneth Nnamdi Fendoka, currently the President of Nigerian Institute of Building, the 20th President of Nigerian Institute of Building. The journey to that position has been quite a long one. I joined the Institute in 1978, and ever since then, I've been involved in the activities of the Institute. I was among the first people who worked to ensure that we have a builder's decree in 1989. I'm the person that took the first Common Council, invited them to Port Harcourt at my own expense, and hosted them in Port Harcourt. And ever since I have been in Port Harcourt, since 1986 I have been in Port Harcourt, I remained the chairman of Port Harcourt State Chapter for quite a long time, during which period I established Bayelsa State Chapter of the Institute, Akwa Ibom State Chapter of the Institute, Cross River State Chapter of the Institute, and Abia State Chapter of the Institute. I had the opportunity to reconcile and restore Ebonyi State Chapter of the Institute and Imo State Chapter of the Institute. The journey has been quite a long one. I've been an ex-member of the ex-official of the Institute. I've been the third vice, progressively to the second vice, and to the first vice before I became the president of Nigerian Institute of Building. So that's exactly who I am. and always willing and able by the grace of God to deliver service to this institute for the good and great of our profession. In simple terms, Buildan Doka, 20th President of Nigerian Institute of Building. The Nigerian Institute of Building has been and will continue to be the envy of all other professions in the built environment industry. Why do I say that? Nigerian Institute of Building is one of the youngest of the professional bodies in the built environment, and because of that, one would have ordinarily thought that they will be following, they will be trailing behind. But from 1967, when the institute was founded, with Okikiolu as the first chairman and Paul Shikoya as the first president later, the institute has continued to wax from strength to strength, to the extent that challenges that faced other professional institutes like ours and devoured them turned out to be challenges that helped to make the institute wax stronger in terms of membership, in terms of career growth, in terms of mandatory programs, in terms of relevance in the affairs of the built environment industry. NIOB, though small in age, as one would say, is by now 52 years. In fact, we are celebrating the 52 years in Port Harcourt. And it is consciousness of the attainments that have made the Council of the Institutes and members to continue to see every year of our AGM as a year of celebration, because there is always a quantum leap in terms of progress. In terms of membership, our people, the schools that are producing them, the institutes is preparing them, and our people are committed, because we have seen that our institute is a collective body that warehouses professionals that will help to ensure that the built environment is served and buildings are delivered onto quality, onto aesthetics, onto good workmanship standards, away from building collapse. So when you talk about the brief history of the Institute, it started in Lagos, but as we are talking now, we have 36 state chapters plus Abuja, which means every state of this country has a foot spread of builders under the canopy of Nigerian Institute of Building. And with what is happening now, the relevance of the professionals, the builders in the built environment, the relevance has grown. People have come to understand by the unique services we offer to the society that for any building to be constructed and delivered within the paradigms of cost, quality, and timeliness, it must receive the attendant hands, the sculpting hands of builders. It is only the builders, I must say, that transform designs, no matter what type of designs, that has to do with us into three-dimensional reality. So if you look at it from the background of what history are we talking about? We're talking about a history that is rich in fulfillment, history that is rich in progress, history that is rich in producing people who will continue to consolidate the practice of the profession in the realms of building. That is the history. One of the outcomes of my master's business administration course has been the attitude of seeing in every challenge an opportunity. So I will wish to transform that question into what are the opportunities. I say so because any organization that intends to grow must create a room to accommodate antagonisms, to accommodate envy, to accommodate distractions. Most of these three dimensions, envy, distraction, and what is it called? Envy and distraction. If you must handle that matter very well, you must not see it from the viewpoint of it is deliberately intended to run a setting down. No. If you must identify the benefits, we will look at it from what opportunities will it excite. When you see problems from the perspectives of opportunity, the issue of vindictiveness or vengefulness will not be there. So part of the greatest challenge I had, which I see as an opportunity, is understanding that I started being a member of this institute right from immediately I entered the school. I became an active member of the institute as a student member. And I had the opportunity of watching and seeing those, our elders, who walked through the trenches to see to it that what we call Nigerian Institute of Building today survived. So at any point in time, I see anything that will detract from that perception for the growth of this institute, I see it as a challenge. And the opportunity will then come in. What uniqueness will I bring into it so that the manifesting outcome could bring value to the institute? We have experienced such when we are in Oshobo. We had a very serious challenge that could ordinarily brought this institute down. We went to Makode, we had the same issue. But those of our leaders, the types of Oyefeko and Akindoyeni, stood their ground to ensure that such manifestations are converted into opportunities. And the strength of this institute today actually rests on the way and manner such challenges were handled. If you ask me what have I achieved, the only thing I can say I have achieved is that I would always want to be a damage controller. What do you mean by damage controller? I don't run away from bad settings that are bad, but I try to find out how that setting can be converted to the benefit of the society. When I came into office as the president of the institute, one of the things I saw that was tearing the institute apart had to do with schisms, divisions between past and succeeding regimes, between personalities, between systems that operate. And when I was coming up, I said that when I become the president, the first thing I will do is to bring all the people that have led this institution and are alive, I'll bring them together. In fact, when I was, before I was inducted, before my investiture, I had to pay a visit to the first president of Nigerian Institute of Building, Builder Oshikoya, and I received his blessing. He prayed for me, and I handed over the medallion to him, and he personally put the medallion on my neck. That day he put the medallion on my neck was the day I saw myself as being investitured. It was the understanding and courage that that visit gave me that eventually yielded to my doing my investiture. So my first AGM as the president, I had to invite all the past presidents, personally contacted them, appealed to them. And the joy of it all is that in my relationship with them, during that interface, they shared my joy. I remember one of them, when I was talking and discussing with him, both of us were crying because we looked back and saw the distance of the journey that we have made to come onto this moment. And to God be the glory. I think that AGM we held at NAF Center in Abuja in 2018, where we celebrated our 50 years of existence, was the peak of the pack, because all of them were there and all of them were given medals of honor. Even those who had challenges in terms of personal relationship had to embrace themselves. And I tell you, if there's anything I will say I've achieved, that is one thing I have achieved. Another thing I think I have achieved is that I have given a voice to our members. Because when I came up, I realized the need of interfacing with members. And I started off with the creation of WhatsApp groups for all the committees and for all the members. That WhatsApp group, which at a stage was nearly got abused, ended up being the opportunity through which members of this institute vent their spleen in terms of issues that are discordant or in terms of issues that they don't like. It's also provided opportunity for them to provide advice on what could be done and done better. Now, issues concerning the institute are no longer merged. At any point in time, any member of the institute, wherever they are, will know what is happening. We directed all the state chapters to establish WhatsApp groups and include the president, the secretary, and the publicity secretary to be members of those chapter WhatsApp groups. And with that development, information on what happens in the respective state chapters are conveyed indirectly to the national office. Another thing we'll talk about is that during this tenure, we were able to pay off for the builder's house. The builder's house, as at the time it was paid for, was not fully, the payment was not fully satisfied. we inherited the debt, and by the cooperation of members of the council, we resolved to sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice our comfort, do everything that we could to ensure that we save money. For the first year of my tenure, I was moving. I could not repair the vehicle. I was moving from Anambra State to Abuja by public transport, not by air, because there was no money. It was a sacrifice that all of us, members of council, keyed into, because the transport allowances and sitting allowances we are schemed just to enable us do what we could do and enable us pay salaries and follow up on issues that will help to progress the ideals of the institute. Today, by the grace of God, we have paid off for the institute. We have furnished the institute. We have provided equipment inside in the buildings, and we have provided utilities, especially water system, overhead tanks. We have, and we are completing the remaining works on the building. One of the challenges I have is that despite the effort made for the house to be fully completed and handed over, 1 or 2 flats are remaining to be completed. But I hope that the people that will come behind me will have it completed. Another challenge, another good thing that happened was the issue of skills qualification framework, artisan training and assessment. It came up at a time when ordinarily we would have shied away from it, but because of the commitment that we have in that program, and because we identified that program as an opportunity that will benefit the society and benefit our members, because we saw that manifestation as another marketing tool to disperse to people the information about the relevance of the builders, we embraced that program. And to God be the glory, it is a work in progress and is going on fine. When I look back on the issue of human development in the institute, when I realized that it is during this time that we have the greatest number of professors in the Nigerian Institute of builders that are professors, when I realized that this is the greatest time we have a number of rectors from Nigerian Institute of Building, when I realized that this is the greatest time in the system where we have people who are involved at all levels in political attainments, political positions, when I realized that during this tenure, that this is the greatest time, the time we had the greatest number of people attending workshops and seminars, when I realized that it is during this period that we had the greatest attendance to AGM, it becomes a source of pride, a source of joy, a source of something that I can look behind and thank my God and my colleagues, by whose assistance and cooperation we were able to achieve this. There is no setting or situation that does not have setbacks. And one of the setbacks we had during our time was that some assumed elders of the institute were not guiding members' rights, to the extent that members whose positive commitment to the ideals of the institute could have been harvested were being used, their minds being disabused to frustrate the system or the interests of the institute. We thank God that that issue is gradually being managed away from existence, and one hopes, and by the time one leaves the setting, we have a better understanding for leadership and members that will replace us. One of the things that would always disturb my thoughts is the fact that I had thought that resources will be available for us to start action on our builder's land at Lugbe. We realized that we cannot put two fingers in the mouth, and we realized that the resources we had cannot massage our expectations about that project. Hence, we decided to focus and complete the builder's house here in APDCA Capital Estate. But that does not remove the fact that our aspiration to develop that our builder's land into a builder center of excellence was not resonating. It was resonating, but we could not do more than we did because of the nature of the economy. I should think that that's one of the issues that the succeeding government will pick up, because that alone will give ample spread for our vision and mission as an institute for excellence and professionalism. Well, in summary, when one looks at the pros and cons, it became necessary that we put together these things, identify the ones that are beneficial, identify the ones that have not been done the way it's supposed to be done, and look at what will be done in future. That's the past, the present, and the future. And that was what advised my regime to set up a think tank committee. We set up a think tank committee that will evaluate the interests of members, evaluate the practice possibilities for the profession, evaluate how our ambition and prospects as the professionals that matters most in the built environment industry, how we can put all those things together and aspire to higher heights. And to the glory of God, when that call was made, our members yielded. And work is in progress, and it is hoped that the final outcome works on that project should provide the leeway for our expectations as professionals, expectations as an institute, and the expectations for the fulfillment of our members in terms of practice and empowerment to be realized. I think for now, this is all I can say. But I will not end it without saying that the contributions of our members, those who support us and those who do not support us, are part of the exciters, things that provided the kick for us to persevere, to do the best for this institute. So far, so good. But tomorrow must be better. You see, when you talk about strategies for membership, you also ask yourself, what values, what service offerings are you giving to your members? Service offering is like honey. It's like honey to the bee. If you have a good service offering to your members, they will always swarm the hive. One challenge we have actually is that many higher institutions of learning have not established the Department of Building. So you go to some states, you discover that much as they like the activities of builders, they don't have the facility to produce builders. So that's a limitation to membership strength. Another limitation to membership strength is the nature of the building profession. It is itinerary in outlook. Builders move to where projects are, and new projects are always in virgin lands. So it takes builders away from city centers to virgin lands where they are disconnected from the activities of the institute. And because of that, it becomes very, very necessary that we have to excite publicity. Wherever you are, the publicity of builders are better strengthened by the quality output of their work, their contributions towards solving the problems of the society, their contributions towards adding value to the built environment, their contributions towards developing membership. And when you say developing membership, you have people who are students. How do you nurture their minds? And what NLB has done for now is to give incremental support to the National Association of Building Students. And we place them under a particular committee, which is Education and Training, that oversees every chapter, every school chapter of the Niobs under the leadership and control and coordination of the head of department of building in that school. That is for the students. You know, the membership strata in NRB, you go from students past technicians to technologists to graduate members to corporate members and to fellows. NRB has tried as much as possible to structure periodic exams that comes twice in a year, in the month of June and in the month of December, to give opportunity for members who would wish to join the institute. If you, by the nature of your work, if you miss the exam in June, you will take advantage of the one that is coming up in December. On the other hand, also, we looked at the opportunity, the possibilities for people who have overgrown because of where they are at their active moments. They are not available at the city center, and maybe when they have attained a higher and older age, they are back. We create opportunities for them to come and take the exams as matured candidates. That's a possibility, opportunity for matured candidates is for them to come in and possess their possession, for the institute to provide them the leverage to practice their profession. And coming in as matured candidate does not mean that they should come half-baked. They pass through some training, prepare themselves for the exam, sit for the exam, and pass it. That's one, the other dimension. Progressively, in terms of service offering values, we coordinate, we prepare these seminars and workshops, MCPD programs, to equip our members with the currency in the profession. So when members know that they have a value to benefit from the institute, they want to come to the institute to share from their values. With that, they become reconnected to the mainstream of the institute. That is membership drive. The other one has to do with AGM. We create AGMs to provide members opportunity, one, to meet for conviviality, professional esprit de corps. Those you've not seen for quite a long time, you see them, they will be able to peer review their efforts in terms of practice and the professional growth. By that, when you establish that symbiosis of those within and those without, you will now see that many people will develop and recover old friendship, and they will, all of them will aggregate to contribute for the growth, to the growth of the institute. Having said that, the other aspect for membership growth has to do with mentorship. We would always tell our older members to create opportunity for the young ones to understudy them. If you're in a workplace, you give them room to be employed. If you are in a challenging situation that is one-off, you invite them to gain from the experience. State chapters conduct monthly meetings where they spread the gospel of collective membership. Invite people from industries to come and give them lectures on their new products. These areas, when you serve, you provide issues that will benefit the members will come. The other dimension has to do with using the opportunity of the National Youth Service Corps. Members, state chapters have been directed to go to the respective NYSC camps during the time they do the orientation, to identify builders that are there, to recognize them and register them within the state chapter so that they can benefit from what is happening in the state chapters in terms of professional growth. By that, you are exciting interest out of the young builders and giving them a room to belong. That helps to encourage membership. So, that is our efforts, and I must tell you, with time, the membership is increasing. I remember that there's a time when we go for AGM, we have about, the first AGM I attended in 1978, we were not up to 60. We are about 40 something. But today, when we are planning for AGM, we are planning for 1,500 minimum. Not excluding students. That's a sign of growth. And that's something that can put smile on anybody, on the face of anybody who have made sacrifice for the development of this institute. I'm such people who are enjoying that, who is enjoying, I'm enjoying that smile. Because there's a great positive paradigm shift from what we had before and what we have now. All that we need to do is to continue to consolidate the efforts in ways and means that membership strength could be positively leveraged. Building collapse is one of the pains in the neck of the built environment. It's one of the Achilles heels that is haunting the growth and development and safe delivery of building projects. But the question is, what is the cause, or what are the causes of building collapses? Yes, we know that there are natural causes. Storms, earthquakes, trees falling on buildings. We know. But there are some fundamental ones that are avoidable. Design errors is one of them. Poor building production process management is one of them. Quackery by interlopers is one of them. Greed, cutting corners by developers is one of them. Ineffective building government control on the stages of building construction or building project delivery is one of them. But in all this, when you look at the issue of people practicing within the realms that they are trained, and people usurping other people's role. But one thing I want to say is that building collapse is the ultimate manifestation for things not being done the way they are supposed to be done. There are four stages in building the project delivery process. One is the pre-design stage. The other one, second is the design stage. The other one is the construction stage. And the fourth is the post-construction stage. And the elements that constitute building collapse are traceable in each of these stages. If we are talking of pre-design, designs have to be conceived. People have to think about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and how they have to fund it. What are the possibilities? Who and who should be invited in? What happens today is that once a client declares intention to develop a building, the first other people in the professionals in the built environment who have privileged information about that project hijacks it. So everything that is being done in accordance with their dictates. But initially, it is at that stage that the ingredients of design, the ingredients of funding, the concepts, at that initial stage, that is when it has to be discussed. You have to find out what the client wants, where he wants it, how that place is, and what not. It is at that point that the design criteria are aggregated. And those design criteria, from that stage, we are moving to the design, that's the design stage. What is the nature of the soil? Where will the building be put upon? What is the access to that place? What utilities go to that place? What nature of house? It is all these things that the designer does. And at that point in time, one thing that is missing is the issue of buildability and maintainability analysis. It is at that point that design is being done that somebody will sit down to look at some people call it design review. Sit down and look at that design. This building, is it possible? How is it buildable? What are the factors that will limit it? The materials they are using, is it maintainable? Is it affordable? Is it available? The accesses and the heights or pockets of opening that are provided, will it allow people to go into that place to maintain the pipes, the plumbing, the electrical, the leakages? How do you assess the roof? All these things are supposed to be done and closed out before the document goes for approval. And still like this design says the approvals has to be, in doing all this thing, the appropriate professionals, the design engineers, the design architects, the builders, all of them, electrical engineers, they have to ensure that the maintainability, the buildability, the design, the nature of the soil, everything is put into consideration. And once that is done, the next phase is that the design is sent for approval. When the approval, first stage is at this design stage. If there's any error howsoever that is overlooked, design error, it can lead to building collapse. Then you come to the construction stage. When this thing goes to the ministry approval centers, if they overlook to find out whether these designs are done by quacks, whether this maintainability and the buildability, whether it is conducted, whether the nature of the reinforcements are sufficient enough to carry the building, if these things are not done, the foundation for collapse is already situated. Now, when this approval, assuming the building design passed through proper approval stages, and it comes to construction, the construction stage, the greatest source of building collapse, cause of building collapse here, is the management of the building process, building production process. If, let's say for example, it's a 4-story building, the method to deliver that 4-story building, if you want it as early as possible, the method to deliver it must be defined. If the methodology is not defined, there's a problem, because it will mean that things will be done out of production context. If the products, the materials that are brought are not properly scrutinized for quality, if it is reinforcements that are fake, if it is chippings that are flaky, if it is sand that contains sulfur, if it is water that contains salt, all these things put together, if they are not identified, rationalized, and reconciled in terms of quality. The second stage is, if they say the mix, who should be there to ensure that the mixes that are prescribed, the standard mixes are respected? Who should be there to confirm that the tests, quality tests that should confirm the work materials or the work processes are done? If you don't have the competent hand at that point in time, that is where you are laying the foundation for eventual collapse. Because if you use materials that are poor quality, if you use materials that does not satisfy the requirements, for example, if you use the reinforcement that is poor quality, it could snap. If you use water that contains sulfur, it will cause a lot of corrosion on the reinforcement. If the mix of the material is not properly standardized, there will be interstitial seepage in the concrete, and that will affect that's what we call concrete cancer. That will excite concrete cancer, where the reinforcement will be rusting and flaking. If the cement is rebagged cement, which means it has set, it has expired, you use it, it will not perform the work. Then you come to the methodology. What type of formwork are you using? What processes are you allowing? What technology are you using? Some buildings fail not because of the material, but the methods that are used, the formworks that are defective. Even ordinary safety and ignorance on safety prescriptions can create a collapse. Because if somebody is in the building and he not put his harness belt, and there he's on top of a formwork, if the formwork is used for the project and it's not properly, all the safety measures are not taken, there will be failure. So when you are talking about collapse, if you use roofing sheets that are faulty, the building will leak. And when the building leaks, there will be humidity in the ceiling. And when there's humidity in the ceiling, all the wood will rot. When all the wood rots, then the roof structure will collapse. So the issue of building collapse is costing us the orderly built environment development, is costing us material losses, is costing us human lives. Above all, it's costing the economy a hailover of opportunities. So that is building collapse. And the question is, what are the panaceas? What are the solutions? Doing the right thing the right way for the very first time. That is total quality management. Using the right personnel, using the right material, using the right methodology, using the right machine, using the right money. Men, material, machine, money, management. If that is rightly done, then we will overcome the issue of building collapse. Government on their own. Today we have a situation where we have most organizations, most governments don't have fiscal planning board. And even in that fiscal planning department, they have development control, they don't have building control. You see people they are building, somebody will come and carry red paint and mark it. Every state should establish a building control, building monitoring and control department that should, as much as possible, monitor the progress of work on site, ensuring that specified standards and drawing prescriptions are respected. If this is done, it will give a good opportunity for the challenges of building collapse to be stemmed. Now, if you go to, we're talking about the building production management process. That brings us to the issue of National Building Code. The National Building Code is a document put together by all the 7 built environment professional groups under the auspices of APBN to provide a guide that direct the activities of construction activities on site, the design in studios, the quality tests in laboratories, building material standards in markets, and above all, the role of those stakeholders who are involved in building project delivery. No matter what a design is, it is through the builders that the design is transformed into 3-dimensional realities. And the tool for doing this is the artisans. And knowing the importance of builders in the building construction process, the National Building Code assign the role of monitoring and supervising these artisans to builders. Because it is builders that are trained to know what is required for where, how it should be put together. So those who will do it for them, those people are placed under their control. That's why today, the National Skills Qualification Framework, the NBTA, has given the Nigerian Institute of Building an awarding body status for building trades. They have to certify you, and the Niob, COBON, the regulating body for the building profession, will give you license you to practice as an artisan. In the National Building Code, all rules for every stage of work are defined, and those who will indemnify the quality of that project or delivery are stated clearly, from foundation onto roof, onto handover, fit for human habitation. And that is why that document is very, very important for the monitoring of building development processes, to the exclusion of collapses. The challenge you have in this country now is that the code is there, but it cannot be enforced. It cannot be enforced. There's no legal framework that supports its enforceability. That's why it is very, very important at this point in time that the government should look at it and give it some teeth, some legal teeth with which it will use, offenders should be beaten with. And it is required that whatever it is that is in the building code should be domesticated according to the peculiarities of the respective states in the country. So there is need, if building production processes must be monitored, if collapse-free environment must be maintained, if appropriate professionals must be deployed to locations where they fit, and if the built environment should be decorated or populated with building structures that are safe and stable, then the National Building Code need to be given a legal teeth. The National Assembly need to make a law that makes the effectiveness of the National Building Code to apply. Every leadership setting has its own peculiarity. Every leadership setting. Every leadership setting has its own goals. And those goals must be responsive to what is prevailing at that moment. So, between 1978 and 1986, 87, 88, the goal that challenged Niob was, how can builders be given opportunity to practice within a legal environment? How can builders be given the opportunity to do the right things acceptable to the society and recognized by law? And that was why our leaders at that point in time sacrificed everything possible to ensure that the builders registration decree came out. And if you look at it from that perspective, you will now see that after that setting, another challenge came. The challenge that came is now we have a law establishing builders. How do we realize the goal that members buy into it? So the leadership at that time embraced publicity. Whatever opportunity they have at any point in time, they pursue publicity. The radio, the TV, everywhere. It becomes, they channel their resources, interfaces with government, interfaces with corporate organizations to ensure that the relevance of the profession in terms of public image is situated. So now, as it is now, it got to a stage that members of other professionals in the professions in the built environment feels threatened that this new institute is coming up and is challenging all their sources of empowerment, all their sources of enjoyment, all their roles that they have usurped. They are coming to ask for it. And they started doing whatever they could do, they think they could do, to frustrate builders in the built environment space. It became now again the challenge of the leadership of the institute and the profession to market the values we have, to market our service offerings, to tell you of the advantages you will gain, to highlight the losses and the risks you will bring upon yourself if you don't do what is right, requisite and right. And at a stage, you remember we say, be right, be wise, build right, engage professional builder. That's a cliche. That challenge is certain at that time. Now, the challenge you have is that the setting has recognized that these are the roles of builders. The challenge the current is serving, the current leadership and the immediate past is serving is, National Building Code said that builders should be in charge of artisans. When government brought out the issue of Shopee, we went into it because we want to grab on it and train the artisans that will serve the profession. When Empower came, we even gave our own fund to support builders, to send them to go and do assessor training, so that we will make sure that the type of people that is artisans that are servicing the building industry are qualified. And when we now saw that members of other built environment professions are hedgy about our emergence, we started collaboration. In fact, my regime, the major work I did was to interface with all the professional bodies, all the leadership of professional bodies in the built environment, all the real estate development Association of Nigerian members, all the radio stations, all the TV stations, every opportunity I have, marketing. We have to market our relevance, we have to market our importance, we have to market our roles. So every regime has its own challenge. What is the driving, that's the kick, the thing that provides, it's a kick to lead. So we don't know, the environment is evolving, technology is evolving. If, for example, now there's a new product that comes out now, and it becomes necessary that builders will use it, it becomes the responsibility of the leadership in time, because we have to make our members, at any point in time, we have to make our members relevant for purpose. That is, their currency. There must be currency in technology, currency in profession, currency in application, and even currency in attitude. Time was when builders were wearing jeans and dirty trousers to come for meeting. We tackled it head on and said that as a builder you have to dress well. It became a challenge for the leadership at that time. And today, when you go to any gathering where builders are, you will know that builders, some of us builders are the best, one of the best dressed in the built environment sector. So the issues vary with time. And moving forward, what advice you want me to give to those that are coming? The greatest advice that every leader should take in is to be responsive. Responsive to the emerging trends. Whatever it is that is manifesting, make sure you have a handle hold on it rightly. Sometimes there might be distractions. Sometimes there might be misconceptions. Sometimes there might be wrong perceptions by those who do not know, or those who I could say are uninitiated in the currency of events. Those who could not see tomorrow. Every leader must be able to see tomorrow. So people that will come after me, my prayer is for them to be able to see the tomorrow of this profession, so that they can promptly leverage on the opportunities and advantages that such tomorrow can bring. They must be able to carry the workforce membership along, not in directions that will satisfy personal and private interests and emotions, but in directions that will steady the cause of the institute as a profession that has been created by God to serve humanity. The prayer for the institute is a precipitate summary of all that we have said. I want the best for this profession and the institute. I want the best advantages for my members. I want government to recognize the special role of builders. I want building people who are involved in building development, in the building development industry, to realize the importance of builders in the delivery of safe and good quality buildings. I want almost all institutions of higher learning in Nigeria to establish a department of building, so that the role of builders and the services they offer should be sufficient enough. As at now, people are usurping the roles of builders because, one, some of them came before us. Two, because many people do not know who builders, what role builders perform. And three, nature does not allow vacuum. I want government to establish special scholarship schemes that will provide for the training of builders to address the expectations and challenges of the environment. I want each builder in this federation to realize that every builder is unique. Building is a unique calling. That profession is a unique calling. And once you find yourself being a builder, know that the lives of people are placed in your hands like a doctor. Doctors make mistakes and sew it up. Accountants can make mistakes, they go to jail. But when and the money will be recovered either by ICPC or EFCC. But when a builder makes a mistake and buildings collapse, people die. And when people die, it's irreversible. So I want people to understand that and disregard the attractions of self-interest and negative profiteering, and focus on the things that will help for the delivery of good, safe, livable, and collapsed 3 buildings.
Before I say anything about myself, we need to first of all give tribute to some of our leaders that have been called to glory. Because some of those people that initiated the Nigerian Institute of Building are no longer with us. So we need to recognize them and pray that God will continue to be with the family they left behind, because they did a great job. Yes. Without what they have done, there may probably not be a profession called building today. I, as a person, want to give a lot of accolades to them for great job they have done. They've given us a profession, and we need to continue to recognize without me mentioning names. There are some of those great leaders that are still with us, and we pray that God Almighty will continue to give them good health, okay, to still continue to be with us and directly or indirectly contributing to the progress of the profession. Be that as it may, my name is Ayobamishile. I'm a builder by profession. I studied building in Britain, and got registered with the CIOB as a chartered builder before returning to Nigeria. Immediately I got back to Nigeria, as it has been with me, I quickly got registered with Nigerian Institute of Building and started participating in the activity of the institute. And I noticed therein that the leaders that I met managing the affairs of the institute then were very, very committed. Very, very committed. They are genuine in everything that they do. I may not necessarily mention names, but those leaders are very, very committed. And that one gave me a lot of motivation to try to do the little I could do. I met with the president then, and officially and unofficial, I was asked to participate in committees of the institute, and I started. And along the line, I found out that there are lots of issues that needs to be addressed and be addressed properly and professionally. And I started contributing my own quota. These elders, they are old enough, some of them are old enough to be my father. And I was able to relate with them. I relate with them very well. Very well. And we were doing the little we could do, okay? Coming up with issues that we believe are very germane to the development of the profession, the building profession in Nigeria. And I was meant to be one of those people that would be liaising between the Nigerian Institute of Building and the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, which is COBO. And therein we were able to fashion out a lot of ideas, and a lot of policies came up, and things started changing. One of the things that we quickly, as time goes on, I became the General Secretary of the Institute. And one thing that was very dear to my heart is that image is very, very important. The secretariat that we were using then when I became General Secretary, I felt that it's not befitting to our profession. And it might be okay years back, but as of the time I became General Secretary, I felt that we need to move out of that location. And we started the process, and within the first 6 months of us being in council, we were able to move out of that location to a very more prominent location in Ikeja, to be precise, Okwebi, which we believe is more, at least, better than where we were. I saw that as a major achievement. There was one thing that really struck my mind when I came. When I look at some of the documentation and when I ask questions, most people do tell me that, they are builders, they are to supervise. So, hang on. I was a little bit shocked. Whether you attended a polytechnic for 5 years, that is 2 years ND, 1 year your industrial attachment, you go back for another 2 years to do your HND, or you go straight to do a 5 years BSc in building. How can you come out and tell the whole world that you are to supervise? I felt a little bit, I don't really know how to express it, but it was a great shock to me to hear qualified and even licensed builders to be saying that they are to supervise. I saw it as a great challenge. Personally, I saw it as a great challenge. And within me, I said to myself, Ayo, you need to do something and do something quickly about this. I started by telling people, trying to orientate people that look, you are not to supervise. You as a professional builder, your role is that of production of buildings. You are to produce building. And what you do as a person personally is the management of that process of producing building. And technically, it is called production management. That is building production management. You are to manage the process. Okay, I use the word the process of doing what? Of carrying out the production of buildings. Building is a product that has been designed by various professionals. Your own is to bring all those designs together and physically produce the building. That is very, very germane to my own way of looking at it. I can see in that you may probably want to ask me the question of the significant contribution that I may probably have made into the building profession. I want to say precisely that I believe that we along the line, okay, when I started this crusade, most of our people, well, some of our people quickly caught the revelation. They get to understand that, what this man is actually saying is true, okay, and then they join hand with every other of our members in the executive, both at the national level and at the various state chapters, and we started propagating the idea of building production management, which has various stages. It has stage 1, that is what you need to do at the design stage. It has its own stage 2, and it has its own stage 3. That is when you actually move on to site to start executing. I see that as a major contribution that I have made into the building profession. In the area of challenges, well, it's a continuous thing. Okay, every day you face one challenge or the other. But me personally, I don't see any issue as challenge. Are you getting me? Issue comes, I go through it, and I move on. Okay, but to be specific, some of the staff of our institute, then especially the head of our institute, I mean the staff of our institute, were not very forthcoming. And I saw that, and I said to myself, Ayo, go ahead and do what you need to do. I end up having to do certain things personally. Okay? And on a later mode, After I left as president, someone who is older than me said that he told some people that I'm going to fail as a president of Niob, and that he was so surprised what I was able to do. I'm aware of this. I was young, very young. I think I was maybe about 44 or thereabout, either 44, 46, thereabout, when I became the president of the institute. And some people were even saying, when did he come? How this and this and that? I knew that, look, for me to be able to do certain things that will uplift the profession, I need to be a leader. And a leader do what? A leader do it by action. I was actually out there doing things by action. Okay? And one thing I've understand with our institute is that we need to love each other. I see that as a problem, even up to today. We need to love each other. Where there is no love, it is very, very difficult for progress to be made. We need to love each other. I see that as a challenge. Now, when it comes to relationship with other stakeholders, I want to believe that I did a lot in that area, and I was able to carry along those other stakeholders that some people see as, no, you can't penetrate them. I was able to penetrate them because what I did was to go to them and make friends with them. To go to them and make friends with them, and to educate them, to let them know what the building profession stands for, to let them know that, look, we are to complement each other. That building process start from taking the brief to the day you hand over the key, to the day you maintain, during the process of the usage of the building, to the day the building will be decommissioned, that is deconstruct. That we need to work together as a team. And good enough, people started to understand that really building as a profession is not a threat to any of the profession, but is what is to complement. Just like Mama Kotangura said, that there was a missing link. I tried to let them understand the missing link, and some of them quickly got the story, and they started cooperating. And up to today, okay, I will tell you that things have changed. We may probably see things that A is doing this or B is doing this. I don't really see them as a serious issue. It depends on the information available to them. If you give them the appropriate information at the appropriate time, they will tend to agree that, look, building as a profession is to complement the other sister professions. So I was able to work with every other sister profession in the construction industry and even outside the construction industry. And let me quickly tell you this. I think it was during my tenure as the president that we were able to continue the struggle that some of our elders started, to a level whereby we were able to have a department of building in the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing then. Okay, and I remember that a technical committee was set up by the ministry, headed by, I think it was Professor Mabo Guje and Mr. Fortune Ebe. I remember vividly that when they met with NLB and Kobo to make presentation, I stood up for about 3 hours to address this committee, and it paid off that the struggle that our elders, our leaders started actually come into reality. The other significant area again is that we are able to work, okay, in collaboration with our sister professions to bring to light, okay, in 2006 the first version of the National Building Code, which I thank God it actually happened. And we had a series of meetings, okay, and I remember we started a meeting around, if I'm not mistaken, around 4 p.m. okay, and the meeting ended 6 a.m. in the morning. We actually had the meeting throughout the night, and we thank God that our efforts. When I say our efforts, those builders that were in that committee and the sister professions, we work together as brothers and sisters. I can tell you that every other profession in the industry, we work together to bring out the first version of the National Building Code, which I see is another milestone in the growth and development of the building profession in Nigeria. Along the line, when I became the General Secretary, we pioneered what we call mature candidate scheme. It has its own shortcoming, I must admit, but through that system, we were able to increase our membership strength tremendously. Our secretariat was in Lagos. Well, we do not sit in Lagos. The president then was going towards the north to do the interview, okay, and the General Secretary was going towards the southeast and the south-south, okay, to conduct interviews, and we were able to bring in so many of our members, okay. What struck us then was that we quickly look at one institution, just one institution, and that is Kaduna Polytechnic. And we found out that those people that have passed through Kaduna Polytechnic, that studied building and building related courses, there are over 3,000 people. And as of that time, Niob membership was not up to 3,000. And we said, if Kaduna Polytechnic alone has produced these people, so what happened to IMT Enugu? What happened to Yaba College of Technology? What happened to ABU? What happened to Ife? What happened to Lagos? And on and on and on and like that. And we knew that we must have nothing less than 5,000 out there that have not even come to us. So if they are not coming to us, we have to do what? We have to go to them. And we did that, and we were able to bring in so many people. However, I must emphasize this, that scheme has its own shortcoming. And immediately we found out about the shortcomings, we'll review it. In terms of sourcing for fund, you see, I believe that when you make yourself known, okay, and people know what you stand for, people are bound to cooperate with you, okay. What you need to do is let people know what you stand for, and once they know what you stand for, they are bound to cooperate with you. More importantly, they must see you as a man of integrity. If they don't see you as a man of integrity, nobody wants to give you he or her money. So the first thing is, leadership must be a leader with what? With integrity. You take integrity from a man, it's just a dead human being. So we were able to source funds because people know that we are men, or are men and women of integrity there. And if you ask for my advice, I will definitely say that our leader that want to manage the affairs of our institute, we must ensure that they are men and women of integrity. If I'm to do something and do something differently, is that I tried to use the social media then, but the social media then, if you remember, we have GSM in August 2001, and the issue of social media was virtually nil during my tenure 2001 to 2003. But today, social media is thing of the day. So we did a lot of publicity then. But if I'm to do something differently, I will probably have used social media in a different way to benefit the institute. I want to state this, and my usual character is that I challenge any Nigerian that have spoken about collapse of building more than me in the country. There is no single Nigerian that have done it. But now I've stopped talking about collapse of building. You know the reason why? The ball is at the doorstep of government. Government is not ready to stop collapse of building in Nigeria. Period. government is not ready to stop collapse of building. I have my facts and figures. We are playing with cosmetics. Okay, we are going around the circle. Okay, like dog that is chasing his own shadow or his own tail. Okay, we are not ready. The government of Nigeria, both at federal level and various state level, are not ready to address the issue of collapse of building. When government wake up and want to address the issue of collapse of building, it will be addressed. Period. That's just it. Well, my advice to them is, one, they should see themselves coming on board for service, not for self-aggradation. People should see themselves not what they are going to make out of it, what they are going to get out of it, but coming into office at any level, both state chapter level and national level, seeing that office as what? As a call for service. I could remember when I want to contest to be first vice president of our institute. I was general secretary. I was doing the work of my general secretary. I wasn't looking at issue of contesting. And people, I remember when people were asking me, why are you not campaigning to become a first vice president? I said, why do I need to campaign? I don't need to campaign. You voluntarily elected me as general secretary. I'm doing the work of general secretary. I'm asking now that you elect me as your first vice president. If you think I have performed as general secretary, if you think I deserve to be elected as first vice president, so be it. I did not campaign. I did not campaign because I see it as a call for service. Okay, so people should see themselves coming up to do what? To serve and to serve, nothing but to serve the institute. Once you serve the institute, leave the rest to the members of the institute to judge you. Leave the rest to your creator to pay you back, and it is only your creator that can pay you back, either directly or indirectly. Well, I will say the institute is doing its own little best, but there is always a room for improvement. Okay, I want to believe that there is cordial relationship between the present leadership and the, okay, if you like, those people that have served the institute before. I think there is a cordial relationship, but there is still also a way of improving, especially those of our leaders that have been called to glory. Periodic visits to their relatives will do a lot of good things for the family. My prayer for the institute is that the Lord that created us should minister to us so that we can love each other. Love is the most important thing. We should love each other. If we love each other, then our institute will move and move and move. The other thing is, we should not emphasize on qualification. Okay, I always say this. Okay, I have got the necessary qualification, but apart from the qualification, professionals must be grounded. Okay, must know their onions. They must be grounded in the what? In the subject matter. So apart from qualification, builders need to understand, okay, in details, and have the competency and the skill, okay, to practice the building profession. That is germane. If you understand the building profession, if you possess the skill, okay, to practice the building profession, sky is your limit. I can use myself as a guinea pig. I tell people, not because I'm a PhD holder, not because I've been past president of NLB, not because I studied in Britain, okay, the things I do today, I do it because people know that I have the competency. And let me quickly say this. When I was returning to Nigeria, I know that I have two things that motivate me to return to Nigeria. What are the two things that I know I have? Okay, personally, I know, number one, I have the skill to construct buildings. That's what motivates me to return to Nigeria. I never have any idea where I'm going to work. I do not have any godfather. I returned to Nigeria 18 months. I did not have single income. Not single one naira. I did not earn it. 18 months when I returned to Nigeria as a PhD holder. And I knew in my heart that I'm not going into the academic. I'm not going to be in academic. Okay, that is a different subject. Where I come from, I'm an Ekiti man. We are known to be in the academics. And some of us said we are no longer going into the academic. We are going into the industry. Our state have done enough in the academics. Let some of us go into the industry. What am I saying? I returned to Nigeria based on two things. I have what? I knew I have the skill to construct buildings. That's what motivates me to Nigeria. And I knew that I'm mobile. I have a vehicle that can take me around. That is what I have. That's what I believe I have. I'm not talking about qualification. But what do we see in Nigeria? Everybody is talking about qualification. Everybody is talking, I'm registered this, I'm registered that. That is not the issue. The issue is, do you have the skill to do that which you are to do? So my advice to my colleagues, both the registered one, both the young ones, including the students, they must humble themselves to do what? To go for what? For experience, site experience. Even in the academics, you need the site experience to throw back into the classroom. Okay, so that is my advice. 2, love. We must love each other. 2, we must do what? We must get the necessary skill that is required to practice and to be a competent professional builder. Thank you very much.